A few months ago, I did a kind of mini documentary style video called A Brief History of Pokemon in China, in which I took a look at the series' troubled history that led to much of its popularity in mainland China, particularly early on, to be caused by a plethora of bootleg games and merchandise. China is known for being a strictly governed communist state, but do you know what place typically isn't? Hong Kong. You see, Hong Kong is a special administrative district of China that, unlike mainland China, is known for being more democratic and capitalist, and has greatly prospered for most of the past few decades. That's why, in the late 90s when they were handed control of the region from the British, China promised to let Hong Kong just continue to do its own thing, and all was well. Well, until it was found that there was actually a lot of corruption in the Hong Kong government. The Chinese government had actually been subtly growing their influence over the region through means such as mass surveillance tools being installed in harmless-looking light posts, along with other issues such as abuses by the police force, and this boiling over into fears of Hong Kongers losing their freedom, and residents now being several months into mass protests against the government. But, besides that, all was well. Now, the complex socioeconomic intricacies of Hong Kong, its relationship with China, and its history over the past half-century are all very fascinating, but of course, this is a Pokemon channel. So, with that, today on Master Trainer, we're going to be glossing over a ton of that to talk about, well, the history of Pokemon in Hong Kong. Now, due to Hong Kong's open relationship with the democracies of the world, major Western companies often find few issues setting up shop there. This actually holds true for Nintendo, who set up a presence in the region sometime during the mid-1980s. Instead of making Hong Kong-specific versions of products though, Nintendo instead often made a point of just rebadging and repackaging Japanese games and consoles, as can be seen with console releases such as the Hong Kong edition Famicom. Because of this though, Hong Kong would see releases of Nintendo products fairly soon after their Japanese releases. However, with this also came a steady stream of bootleg games, particularly from mainland China. A popular practice at the time was to buy a Famicom Disk System add-on, and then have NES games copied onto the floppy disk for a fraction of the price of buying them. While you were using official hardware more often than not, you were still playing unlicensed games. Anyways, Nintendo still saw no issues with releasing their hardware in the region, and that would hold true for the Game Boy, which was released there in 1989, much like in the rest of the world. Pokemon would then come to the region in 1998. It would be known as that. I can't pronounce that. Commonly just shortened to that. Like in many other regions of the world, such as the US, Japan, and the UK, Pokemania would take hold. The Pokemon anime would see a Chinese language dub in both Taiwan and Hong Kong beginning in November 1998, with every single season and movie being aired since, along with the anime-based manga series being released. It's currently being distributed there by the company iCable. Oddly enough, I can't find a definitive date of when official Hong Kong Pokemon game releases began. I know Chinese releases of the Gen 1 and 2 Pokemon games exists, but I'm not sure which of them, if any, are official. That's not to say though that official Pokemon games weren't sold in Hong Kong. It just seems that, from most instances I've found, it was just common for places to import Japanese or American copies and then sell those. In fact, an official Hong Kong Chinese language Pokemon release may not have actually come until Pokemon Sun and Moon, which were also the first games to have official releases in mainland China. After hours of research and digging through websites such as that of Nintendo HK, I think that this is the most likely case here. Moving on, back in the late 90s during the first generation of Pokemon, the Pokemon Adventures manga and the trading card game would see official traditional Chinese releases there. The latter of those would come around the same time as a TCG release in mainland China, with the main difference being the use of traditional Chinese characters in the cards in Hong Kong instead of the simplified characters used in the mainland versions. This spelling discrepancy may seem minor at first, but it was actually a sign of what would become a defining issue for Hong Kong-based Pokemon fans. Though the Pokemon series kept a consistent name and translation in Hong Kong, it did not in mainland China. For example, prior to the release of Pokemon Sun and Moon for the 3DS, it was common for the Pokemon series to be referred to as that, which translates to Elf Treasure Dream if we're going directly, or it was sometimes referred to as that, which quite literally just translates to Pokemon. However, when it was announced that Pokemon Sun and Moon were getting an official release in mainland China, it was also announced that the Pokemon series as a whole was going to be getting a new official Chinese language localization, including new names for Pokemon. For example, as best as I can horribly pronounce it, the Pokemon series itself would be referred to as Pokémon, and Pikachu would be referred to as Pikachu, despite them previously having been referred to as that and Pikachu, respectively in Hong Kong. I'm sorry for horribly butchering that. This made many fans in Hong Kong very unhappy. In March 2016, a few months before the release of Pokemon Sun and Moon, over 6,000 Hong Kongers signed a petition asking Nintendo and Game Freak to keep the names already in use in the Hong Kong localizations of Pokemon. This would later escalate in May of that year into a protest at the Japanese consulate. Their reasoning? By changing the Pokemon names and unifying the localizations to match that of mainland China, they felt that their identity as Hong Kongers in a way was under attack. So I guess we ended up talking about protesting and the intricacies of Hong Kong's relationship with China after all. On that topic, I should mention that by far the most popular Pokemon related thing in Hong Kong seems to be Pokemon Go. It caused a bit of a massive phenomenon there, and with good reason. It's fun. It's a reason to get out of the house. It's simple and easy to pick up, and there's a bit of universality in that. It seems like wherever I go in the world, I'm destined to find at least one person who still frequently plays Pokemon Go. However, lately, it's seen another surge of popularity in Hong Kong, and that, again, is due to protests. As issues of freedom and police brutality continued to come to light earlier this year, some in Hong Kong began to wonder if there were more discreet ways to announce protests. After all, it's probably quite easy for police to find out about your protest if you publicly announce it on Facebook. One of these avenues involved Pokemon Go. Particularly in late July, a group of protesters returning home one evening were attacked by a group of men wearing white shirts. Afterwards, plans for a new protest on the side of the attacks were made, but instead of being formally announced online, instead ads were put up for a mass Pokemon Go Pokemon hunt, which, when people arrived, just so happened to actually be a protest. And with that, that's the history of Pokemon Hong Kong. So far anyways. From a history involving bootlegging and unwillingness to translate games from Japanese, to protesting, to, of course, the upcoming Pokemon Sword and Shield for Nintendo Switch, which, yes, are getting a proper release in Hong Kong, it's obvious that Pokemon is absolutely massive there, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. So with that, thank you very much for watching Master Trainer, subscribe if you feel so inclined, and I'll see you next time.